Okay, John, hopefully this is going to help you work out how I put together that formula that I posted to you. Now, for everyone else, John's question was, he has a spreadsheet with 3 columns of data headed calls, text and data. And what we want to do is, if there is nil value, these should be nil. If there's nil value in all of these cells, we want to return a blank in column D. But if there's a value in any of these cells, what we want to do is return the heading for that particular column in column D. Okay, so the way I went about this was, we'll do the simple part first. It's a nested if formula. So what we're going to do is we're going to say equals if, open brackets, whoops, missed a bit, if, open brackets, the sum of these is equal to 0. So that is, we have a 0 value in every one of them, return a blank. Failing that, for now, what we're going to do is say something else. So there you go, something else. Let me just put that right in a second, something else. So there you go. So we can see, as we have values in these, that sum evaluates to more than 0, so therefore we get our false statement, the something else. So let's copy that down. And we can see that on the blanks it returns a blank. So that's perfectly fine. That works for our first test. Now our second test is another if test, and we're going to build it individually and then put them all together at the end. So what we're going to say is, if, open brackets, this cell value is greater than 0, then return the value in A2. So we're just going to click A2 and hit F4, because we always want to return the value in A2, at least for column A. So then we're going to say comma, so that's our value if it's true, and the value if it's false is going to be a double quote, which is a blank. So enter. So there you go. Now I'm just going to copy those down. So we can see now that for every time we have a value in column A, we're returning the word calls here. And where we don't have a value in column A, it's just returning a blank, which is our false statement. So I'm just going to quickly do that for the other ones. So equals, if that is greater than 0, return B, F4, because we want to return the absolute value, double quotes, if not, return a blank, enter. So there we get the word text. And finally, if, open brackets, that is greater than 0, return C2, F4, absolute cell reference, because we always want to return absolute C, absolute 4, comma. If it ain't true, return a blank. So there you go. So you can see that that works. Whoops, let me copy that down. Now there it is piecemeal. Now what we want to do is join these strings together. So what we're going to use here is a concatenation. Concatenate, which we've used before, and we're going to say this, comma, this, comma, this. Close brackets, and there we can see that we need to modify our formula slightly, because what we have is literally calls text data with no space in between. So we're going to go back to this cell and we're going to change our true evaluation. So we're going to return the absolute A, absolute 2 cell value, and whoops, missed it, quotes, space, quote. So there you can see in this formula we get calls with a space between the word text. And then we need to do that on this one too. So immediately after the true statement and before we get to the comma for the false statement, and quotes, space, quotes, and enter. Now we don't need to do it for the last one because data is the last word. Didn't I copy that then? I don't know what I did then. I think I missed it. And enter. Looks like it worked. I did on text, didn't I? Sorry. Copy that down. There we go. So calls, text, data. So there are the individual elements. Here, evaluate if they're all blank, and if so, return blank. If not, something else. Now that something else is going to be built out of these. So if we modified our concatenation formula first, what we can see is we're looking at E3, So what we can do is copy the value or the formula out of E3. So just copy that, come over to here and replace E3 with the formula that was in E3. And we can see that the next one is F3. So we can go to F3 and copy the formula, copy, that was in F3. So we can replace F3. And finally, we can see that there's G3. So we can go to G3. I think I can delete that bit now because we don't need the space there. Hopefully that still works, yeah. And we can copy the formula in G3, copy, and drop that, whoops, hit escape, Alan, and copy that where it says G3. So now we can delete these 3 cells, delete, and copy that down. And now we have our something else. So here, where our false statement is something else, we're just going to take that formula we've just built up. So I'm just going to copy all of that, and I'm going to paste it over the false section of the test, where we currently have something else. Paste, hit enter, and then copy that down. So now I can delete column E. And there you go, there's your complex formula, the one I posted you on the forum, and that's exactly how I built the formula. Hope that helps, but as always, if you have any questions, drop me a line and I'll see what I can do to help. Have a great day, and thanks again for the question.